What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be talking about Palantir Technologies and how there are some pretty substantial bets that Palantir is going to be going above $30 and to $35 a share in the next couple of weeks. We're going to go over all of the pieces of news that have come out about Palantir that suggest that this is completely plausible for this massive run-up to happen. So before we get into all of that information, if you guys want to get some free money, make sure you click on that Webull link in my description and set up a new account. Webull is what I use to trade. I absolutely love it. It's kind of the in-between between Robinhood and TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim. TD Ameritrade can be a bit overwhelming in terms of all of the different technical aspects that it offers you, and Robinhood could sometimes be a little bit more simple, and Webull is right in the middle. It's a great brokerage. I've never had any problems with it, and as you see here, this is the brokerage that I trade with in my options trading portfolio. And if you enjoy the information I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. Now, when examining the chart of Palantir over the last couple of weeks, we've had a very significant sell-off. Now, Palantir reported their earnings, their share lockup period expired, and the overall market sentiment. Investors lost a lot of confidence in the market over fears of inflation and the rising 10-year Treasury yield rate. So Palantir has had a significant sell-off, but as we've seen, ARK Invest has been pouring some significant capital into Palantir, which has kind of kept it afloat, and a lot of investors are becoming more bullish on Palantir since ARK Invest is pouring so much money into this company, and I call that the ARK effect. So when ARK Invest buys a significant amount of a company, especially on dips, a lot of people are going to see that and be like, well, ARK Invest, with their really smart team of analysts and analytical power, think that this company is going to be amazing in the long term, and that means that we should as well. Now, let's take a look at some of these pretty substantial bets that Palantir is going to be going above $30 and to $35 a share. Now, I'm going to go over the reasons why Palantir could go this high a little bit later in this video, but let's take a look at these bets. So coming over here, we are going to be taking a look at the April 16th, 2021 expiration date, and we are going to be looking at the call option. So scrolling down a little further, we can see that the $35 strike cost about 70 cents per contract, which means that it would cost you $70 in order to enter this trade if you were to buy one contract of the Palantir $35 strike expiring April 16th. And the reason for that is that every options contract controls 100 shares. So every price that you see on this option chain, we are looking at the last price here, would be multiplied by 100. And we can see that there is an open interest of 17,625, which means that's about the amount of contracts that people are holding in their brokerage accounts at the current time. Now, 3,556 of these contracts were traded today. That's pretty big. And looking at this open interest, if you multiply it by this 70, the price, that puts the amount betting at Palantir will run up a significant amount and into the $30 range by April 16th at about $1.3 million. But we can see that these $30 strikes have much higher open interest and a higher volume. So I think it's more plausible that Palantir is going to be breaking this $30 price point versus the $35 price point. But as we get later into this video and look at all of this information, it's possible that Palantir can run up into the $35 range and even higher. So taking a look over here, we can see that Palantir announces a double-click demo event. So we've seen Palantir have their demo day. That was back in January. It was around January 26th. So coming back to the chart of Palantir, we can see that on January 22nd is when Palantir started a very significant run-up. So we can see that Palantir went from the $26 range, $25 range, all the way up to $45 a share the day after their demo day came out. Now, Palantir is currently trading at $24.61 at the current time that I am recording this video, and that is not too far off off where Palantir was trading before their last demo day event. Now, we are going to see a couple of different things from this demo day event. The first event will feature in-depth demonstrations of Palantir Foundry for life sciences and industrials. Palantir's customers in these verticals include Merck, NIH, NHS, 3M, BP, PG&E, Lanxess, and Doosan, and others. So the software demos at DoubleClick will showcase how customers can use Archetype's Palantir solution to deploy end-to-end use cases in a matter of clicks on top of Foundry, including life sciences and industrial. So this is going to be a very important event. So as that article suggests, that this DoubleClick event is not going to be a one-off event. There are going to be multiple of these demo days coming up in the next couple of months. And if Palantir is able to run up like we saw for the last demo day, that is going to give us a lot of insight as investors on how to play Palantir when these demo days are announced. Now, there are also a couple of other pieces of news that could send shares of Palantir going higher. So we are seeing Palantir bounce off of their lows this week in the low $20 range. Now, people were getting scared that Palantir was going to go into the teens. And if that happened, that would have been an unbelievable buying opportunity for long-term investors in Palantir. But coming over here, we can see that Palantir also signed a new partnership with Amazon AWS. Now, we've talked about this in a couple of my other Palantir videos, but this ERP suite that Palantir is rolling out to its customers enabled one of their customers, BP, to save about $50 million in working capital in just a couple of weeks. That is absolutely amazing. Palantir's software is going to be able to make businesses more efficient, free up some capital, and the companies are going to be able to put that capital to use, maybe even do some share buybacks, which would increase shareholder value of the companies that Palantir actually has these deals with, or put it into research and development to better the products that they are providing to their customers. Now, I talked about this briefly in the beginning of the video, but we've seen ARK Invest go all in on Palantir over the past couple of weeks. We can see that on about February 12th, ARK Invest owned about 2.4 million shares of Palantir. Now, this is when the dip first started, when Palantir released its earnings, and then the share lockup period expired. And then ARK went on an absolute buying spree and upped their position size to, at the current time, about 15.6 million shares of Palantir. That is about a position size of $385 million. That is very substantial, even in ARK Invest terms. Now, we've seen Cathie Wood come out a couple of times and say that in times of market downturns, she will sell off some of the names that are at a loss to create a loss for tax purposes, and then use that capital to put it behind the companies that she and her team has the highest conviction in and sees the most upside potential. Obviously, Palantir is definitely one of those companies and should serve as kind of a good sign to retail investors that Palantir is going to be a top player, not only in the data analytics field, but in the overall stock market as well. So coming back over to the chart of Palantir, I think the biggest event and the most important event is going to be this new demo day occurring in the middle of April. Now, those April expiration dates, these April 16th, don't cover the actual demo day event enough for me. So I'm going to be looking at strikes that are a little bit further out in expiration, because if you are going to play an event where you know the implied volatility is going to run up, and the expiration date of the contracts is super close to when the actual date of the event is, you need your contracts to go really close to the money or in the money. So what I'm probably going to be doing is waiting a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two, and actually go after these May expiration dates and go a little bit further out. So I might go for these 40s or these 45s. Now, the reason I do this is because you are still going to get a run up in implied volatility, but if Palantir starts to really run up into the demo day, you're going to have so much more time on these contracts, and it's going to be a little bit safer. So if the stock runs up earlier than expected and you have time on these contracts, the value of the options contracts will shoot up. Now, the previous all-time high for Palantir is right around 45, so that is most likely the strike that I am going to be going after in the next couple of weeks. And coming over here, we can see that the volume is still pretty low on these contracts. Now, this method is to really keep myself safe, because if Palantir does start to go on a downtrend and we have these April 16th expiration dates, the contracts will get blown up and they will most likely depreciate by at least 50%. That's why going with contracts with more time, in my opinion, is better when you are trading options. But again, anytime that I mention that I am going to be entering an options trade, I never trade with an amount that I am not fully willing to lose. Options are extremely risky, and on expiration, the vast majority of options contracts expire worthless. Now, that's not to say that in the time from when you buy the contract up until the contract expires, that it will not gain in value and you will have a profit. Options are very risky and you have to know how to take profits. And if you've watched some of my other options videos, especially for Palantir, we've hit a couple big plays on Palantir in 2021, and there are a lot of ways to actually take out your profit and still have upside in an options trade. So the strategies that I am going over in this video are just for my options account. For long-term Palantir investors, buying the dip and holding your shares for the long term is the smarter option. It is more likely that you are going to make a lot more money being a long-term investor than you are trading short-term options. Now, I use my options portfolio to fund my long-term portfolio. So if I hit a big trade, I'll transfer some money out and then put it into my long-term portfolio. But the options account that I have really isn't that much money to me. So I am perfectly fine with losing a bunch of money in that account if it means getting some extra money into my long-term portfolio, because options are super risky, but they provide a super high profit potential. I've seen a couple 1,000% plays on Palantir. We actually hit one on the first run up to their demo day on this massive run up that we see here. So that is going to be it for this update on Palantir. If you guys enjoyed the information that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys were able to have a very profitable day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.